On what might have otherwise turned out to be an ordinary weekend in the life of the 27-year-old semi-professional football player for the Boston Bandits, Odin Lloyd spent Friday night popping bottles and pulling models in the VIP section at Rumor, one of Boston's hottest nightclubs. He was partying with New England Patriots star Aaron Hernandez, his soon-to-be brother-in-law, for whom every door in town opened easily. To Lloyd, it must have seemed like he'd stepped into another world, one where 10 grand were dropped without a second thought on a casual night out, one where Hernandez would invite him back to his 7,000-square-foot mansion to continue partying into the early hours, one where anything was possible. At Rumor, Lloyd ran into 2 of his cousins and invited them to join the NFL Stars group. Perhaps intoxicated, one of them started pointing at Hernandez and repeating, "I don't like that. I don't want you with him." Lloyd tried in vain to put a quick end to it, but Hernandez was enraged. At 6'2" and 250 pounds, Aaron towered over 5'11" Lloyd in surveillance footage that captured the 2 men engaged in a heated debate. On June 17, 2013, Lloyd's body was found in a park close to Hernandez's house, 45 minutes outside Boston and not far from Gillette Stadium, where the Patriots play. He had been hit by 4 .45 caliber shots, 2 in the back and 2 in the front. Lloyd was last seen alive at around 2:30 a.m. that night with Aaron Hernandez. Shortly after the murder was called in, it was established Aaron was the last person to be seen with the victim at the scene of the crime. Aaron Hernandez became primary suspect. An investigation uncovered a blunt with his DNA in the area, and surveillance footage captured him entering his house, gun in hand, not long after gunshot sounds were reported by neighbors. Aaron Hernandez was arrested on June 26, 2013, on charges of first-degree murder, as well as 5 charges related to unlawful possession of a firearm. Within 90 minutes of his arrest, the Patriots dropped him from the roster and his career was effectively over. With Hernandez's DNA found at the murder scene, the defense team had little choice in admitting to him being present during the murder. They tried to downplay his role to that of a witness, but on April 15, 2015, Aaron Hernandez was found guilty of murder in the first degree by a grand jury and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. While serving his time at Sousa Baranowski Correctional Center, reports saw Aaron behave as if strangely content. "I have a TV in my cell," he wrote in a 2016 letter, "and yes, I still root for my squad and still love all the ones I love." He reconnected with his estranged mother then and told her, "I've been the most relaxed and less stressed in jail than I have been out of jail." He did, however, break prison rules on multiple occasions by screaming and banging on his cell door, as well as using several drugs. He reportedly believed he would be soon released and return to play in the NFL as if nothing had happened. His former cellmate, Kyle Kennedy, alleges Hernandez telling him about a 4th, undiscovered murder.
We call him Double A, and we got 2 bodies, and I used to tell him, "Boy, we should call you Triple A." He's like, "Nah." He's like, "4." We're sitting in something, "What you mean 4?" And he's like, I got 4 bodies.
The body was never found, and this allegation remains a mystery. On April 19, 2017, almost exactly 2 years after his sentencing, Aaron Hernandez took his own life in his prison cell. At just 27, his glowing career already behind him, he was found with a twisted bedsheet wrapped around his neck by a guard making a routine check. His cell door had been secured shut with pieces of cardboard and shampoo had been applied to the floor to make it difficult for anyone to enter. On his forehead, he'd written John 3 verse 16, a biblical reference. Next to the NFL star's lifeless body, guards found a Bible and written notes to his fiancée, pleading with her to never think anything besides how much I love you, and to his 4-year-old daughter, Aviel Hernandez, saying he would see her in heaven. While a motive for the murder that eventually got him arrested was never established, speculation and psychological analysis focused on 2 main theories. The first paints Hernandez as a closeted gay man, terrified of being discovered, who was afraid Lloyd would out him to his fiancée. Hernandez's defense lawyer, George Leontire, claimed Hernandez fought an internal battle to learn how to live with his homosexual tendencies and reconcile his desires with an often homophobic sports culture. "Aaron and I talked about his sexuality," he said. "This man clearly was gay. He acknowledged it, acknowledged the immense pain that it caused him. I think that he also came out of a culture that was so negative about gay people that he exhibited some self-hatred. The theory gained more traction in 2018 when Hernandez's high school quarterback, Dennis Sansucci, confirmed to the Boston Globe's Spotlight team that they'd enjoyed a casual sexual relationship throughout middle school and later in high school. Sansucci alleged that Hernandez was out to his family at the time, even though Aaron's brother, Jonathan, confirmed their father Dennis was very firm in his belief that homosexuality was something to condemn and despise the very thought of. In the same interview, Jonathan recollected how early in his childhood the NFL star had aspirations of becoming a cheerleader, until Dennis made it clear that would not be happening. "I remember he wanted to be a cheerleader. My cousins were cheerleaders and amazing," he continued. "And I remembered coming home and, like, my dad put an end to that really quick. And it was not okay. My dad made it clear that he had his definition of a man." Jonathan also told the Globe that Aaron had been molested as a child. This was confirmed by one of Aaron's criminal lawyers. Although both refused to name the perpetrator, it is known that it started when Aaron was just 6 years old, and it was not at the hands of Dennis Hernandez. A long-held rumor frames Lloyd as the wrong person at the wrong time, someone who caught Hernandez in a compromising position with another man and was killed for fear he would out the star. A star plagued by the death of his abusive and violent father, by the pressure to conform to a hyper-masculine world and a society where homosexuality must be kept a secret. While the truth is still untold and probably buried with Lloyd, the theory remains a key one. Taking into consideration how Hernandez killed himself just 2 days after investigative reporter Michelle McPhee appeared on the Kirk and Callahan Sports radio show to publicize the rumors about the star's sexuality. Could this have been the final straw to catalyze his suicide? A second theory argues that CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, might have played a role in Aaron Hernandez's life. After his death, his family requested Boston University's Chronic Traumatic Encephalopathy Center study his brain and test it for the presence of CTE. This is studied by measuring a protein called tau, which malfunctions and sets off a chain reaction where the damaged tau spreads through the brain and kills brain cells. It causes dementia and brain damage in victims of concussions and trauma to the head, a condition found in critically high numbers among football players. Dr. Anne McKee, a neuropathologist who specializes in CTE at Boston University, was in charge of studying his brain and delivering a verdict. She reported an astounding incidence of CTE that she was shocked to learn the brain she was studying was younger than 46 years old. An exceptionally promising tight end tied to a spectacular $40 million contract, fallen from grace amidst a life of violence and a series of terrible decisions. Childhood abuse, brain damage, and sexuality struggles might have contributed to his eventual demise, but ultimately, he chose to pull the trigger and end Abreu's and Furtado's and Lloyd's lives prematurely. Only Cheyenne Jenkins, his fiancée and mother to his daughter, remained loyal to him even after his conviction. She was the last person to speak to him while he was alive and struggled to believe reports of his suicide.
None of it is very believable to me. Not the findings, not the investigation. I don't believe it. I believe there's some uncounted time. I don't think that things were done properly. I feel like he could have been saved or something could have been done or whatever the case may have been.
"I feel like he could have been saved," she told Dr. Phil in 2017. But as Aaron himself had probably realized, his fate had been sealed. The Patriots star could not live with the twisted and chilling truth of his story and knew his time was up. A Bible was found in his cell at the time of his death. It was opened to John 3, verse 16, which reads, "For God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth on him should not perish, but have eternal life."
He can play a lot of different positions. How do you have to account for him?
They're very athletic, very strong, and we just gotta come out to play.
What's the hardest thing to eat during an interview?
Not sure about that. Get back to me tomorrow.
How good is it though? It smells good.
Oh, it's good. It's General Tso's chicken. The grills are pretty healthy.
Do they offer plates, forks, knives?
Yeah, you guys want some? No. Oh, all right.